Councillor Bishop,
Here.
Councillor Ormsby,
Here.
Councillor Harris here. Just have an adjustment to the agenda. We have to elect a chair.
I nominate Tracy here.
Second.
Okay.
It's just you three.
Okay. Nomination on the floor. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay. Paid family medical leave cost apportionment. Sue?
Yes, so the state adopted paid family medical leave program that affects everyone. If you have more than 15 employees, it affects every single person that you write a check to. Full-time, part-time, ballot clerks, council, you name it. There's no exemptions. But and according to this law that was passed, there's a 1% of payroll to be paid to the state of Maine to develop a paid family medical leave program. That contributions start January 1st, 2025. The first accessibility for those is scheduled to be May of 2026. However, if you have employees that are covered by a bargaining unit, a union contract that was in effect as of July 1 of 2023, which we do, then your union employees are not subject to be any 1% contribution until the end of that agreement, which is June 30th of 2025 in our case. So that contribution for that proportion of our employees, which is honestly the majority of our employees are in bargaining units. Police, fire, EMS, dispatch, and highway are all union employees. So the 1% isn't applicable to them until July 1st. But employers have the option of apportioning half of that, 0.5%, to the employee, with the employer paying 0.5%. And in the information before you, what I've asked you to do is for the town to pay the full 1% for the affected non-union employees between January 1st and June 30th, because all those employees will have access to this in May of 26, just like everybody. They don't have to pay anything until after July 1st. The cost is approximately $4,400 estimated for the 1% for the non-union employees between now and the end of June. The other thing that I will tell you is that union negotiations will include a request for this 1% to be fully paid, because it's on every listserv that I see for every town that's looking at this. Whether it's successful or not is another thing, but what I'm asking is that the town do the 1% between now and the end of June, but as part of the budget and union negotiations, you then determine what the percentage is for everyone moving forward, whether it's the 0.5% for everyone, whether the town pays the 1%, however it moves forward. But in this initial 6 months, that the town do that until all of the employees have to participate in some way financially if we do it differently. There are communities that are looking to be exempted by setting up their own paid family leave, but you have to do that through a third party, and it has to be equivalent to what the state of Maine offers, which is the 12 weeks, and for not just your illness or a family member's illness. There's good friends that are like family, and it's a very expansive definition, shall we say, of that. And even though we offer income protection for short-term disability for our employees who are injured or ill outside of, that doesn't count as an exemption, allow us to have an exemption because it covers only full-time employees, number one, and what it covers isn't as expansive as what the state of Maine's law is in terms of who can get this 12 weeks of paid family medical leave. The 1% contribution is now, and it starts January 25 to contribute, so that when they start to allow people to access it in May of 2026, they hope to have enough money in the till to make it happen. But I don't know where the contribution will go down the road, because 1% is just the beginning, and then depending on how people utilize it and how much. I don't disagree that the intent is positive with this, but I have concerns that it's going to turn out a lot like the property tax stabilization program that they tried to do for seniors, that went in with an estimate of this, and after 1 year the expense was this, and they realized that it wasn't supportable. None of which makes any difference to tonight's discussion, but we have to we just got this past week the rules for this. That's when we were notified on what the rules for the program were. So that's why you haven't seen it before now, because they didn't know. Everyone was guessing, but the rules themselves, I believe it was a week ago that they came out.
Counselor.
I do have a question. I actually have that in my permanent contract. We negotiated. We weren't under contract into the 2025. We're 50-50. The way it was explained to us is that we're going to pay this 50-50, where we pay half and they pay half. And we're never going to be able to utilize it because we have income protection, and we have time off to utilize for that 12 weeks. And that's how it was explained to us. But how it's going to work is whoever knows. And I think they just were people trying to make us mad because they were taking 0.5% from us.
Right.
But that is how we did it. We did the 50-50. I totally understand what you're proposing. I tried to get the 1% for them to pay for it because I thought it was a great idea.
When did you negotiate your contract?
We negotiated our contract, our 2024.
Okay, that's why yours is already started.
It was
Ours, we
it had just
can't.
started.
Ours,
It had just started. Yeah.
And this is only to balance out all employees on the same system until another discussion about how
until
do we,
the budget and union negotiations
Yes.
take place, because
Great idea.
the way that it has been explained is that this is not in lieu of income protection, or it's available if whether you have time available on the books or you don't have time available on the books. There's no requirement, because we have that same consideration that
Sure.
people can take time, they can use vacation, but this law means they don't have to use that.
That would be good.
They
so
can
you can
apply-
use that first.
They can use that first.
They can use the
Yeah.
state program.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be good. If in fact it's there.
Well, but the other thing that's happening is many employers are looking to opt to exempt out and set up their own plan. These plans that have to be, I don't know how it saves you any money. I don't, but the fewer large employers that participate at the state level, the less money there will be in the kitty for it to work.
Mhm.
So
roughly how many employees are not union?
Well, it's including everybody,
Yeah.
you guys, planning board,
Yep.
part-time employees,
Yep.
us upstairs.
Right. But what you can't forget though is we're putting in, but that doesn't affect the ones that don't have to put in from taking out.
That's right. There are those that don't have to put in, which is anyone with less than 15 employees.
Anyone, right. Any.
15 or 50?
Any
15.
Exactly. Any employee in the state of Maine can use it.
Mm.
That's the kicker.
Well, it's also a kicker that the state's implementing a program, which the state is a taxpayer-funded organization, forcing the town, which is a taxpayer organization, to force 0.5% of the tax base.
I mean, that's,
So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that, I like the idea of having that kitty there. I do for the people that contribute to it, right? It's kind of like the retirement health insurance for that police and fire have. I like that. I didn't think it would last this long, but I like it because you can utilize it if you put into it. But for us as a whole, having to contribute to it for people that don't contribute it into it to be able to use it, burns.
Where does the 4,400
That-
come from, Sue?
That's what burns.
The 4,400 comes from wages. We have a number of unfilled positions that we've run with
Yep.
for a while now.
So it'll come from that line. Okay.
It's wages.
Okay.
It's not another, it's wages that haven't been, where we are now part-time on our assessor position.
Yep.
That's significant savings on
Yeah.
a
Is it-
weekly basis too.
Is it true that the 12 weeks can be extended? I think if people petition it, say somebody's out with a broken leg and they need surgery and it just keeps going, and after the 12 weeks, they can petition the town to continue past that 12 weeks?
I'd have to look into that, I
Okay.
haven't heard anything past 12 weeks.
But I would make a motion that we send this to the council.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Motion passes. Tax anticipation note. Sue.
I wrote a memo to try and best explain that this doesn't mean that the town is broke. That is not what a tax anticipation loan means. Many communities use them. What it means is because we collect taxes 2 times a year, and the time we're in now is the 7-month between tax collections. That your unallocated fund balance is your cushion, money that's just kind of sitting around that you can use, that you use to pay your bills until taxes comes in. It's one big pot. But we have spent down hours into the $2 million range, not because we've done anything wrong, but because we've used it the way the council wanted to, which was to move the community forward. It has, the money that's been used for walls and fishing docks and the dock repair and all of those things have seeded grant contributions, which has at least doubled the amount of money, the value of the money that we spend. And the second way we've used it is we've used some fund balance every year to offset property tax. And we've done that because when the mill closed and the decision was made to retain services and not take away any more, that we would also do our best while the town was looking to rebuild, to keep the mill rate stable, to not unduly, and so we've done that too. personally, I think we've done a really good job with that and maintaining the mill rate. Short-term borrowing to pay your bills until taxes come in is done by many, many communities across the state. And as I said in the memo, some of them do it because they have a philosophical disagreement with the community having a great big bank balance and still taxing people more than it costs to run government. And that 6.5 dozen the other. When Bucksport did it, they did it for a very good reason. They did it because you had one 900-pound gorilla that was contributing at one point 70%, and at the time it closed 40% of the taxes in your community. So you could afford to have a large overlay. Residential taxpayers would hardly see it. You could afford to budget more than you knew you were going to spend, because that money at the end of the year would go into fund balance. You could underestimate the revenues you were going to receive. When you received more, that went into fund balance. You could do that when you had the luxury of that. You had a $712 million valuation on this community in 2014 when the mill closed. The year after the mill closed, you had a $430 million valuation. Your valuation today is $636 million. We're not back to where we were in 2015, even though we have had significant, no development at the mill, but other development in the community, and the pandemic impact on residential property taxes. But now what happens is if you inflate overlay, or you budget more than what it costs to spend, you're not hitting a multi-million-dollar organization. You're hitting John Q. Citizen. And so the council has been very, very vocal, especially the last 4 or 5 years, looking at the budget, at making sure that the line items match the expenses. Nobody has wanted to see things budgeted that were going to move money. They didn't want extra. They wanted it to be, that's where we are. It doesn't mean we can't pay our bills. It means we have a line of credit to do that. The taxes come in, that gets paid off. It means we will be doing this annually for the next couple of years, and probably until we get larger industrial valuation, some of which may come through JIRA, which we're working with now, and but as I said, some things haven't gone the way we thought they were going to do, which Polotions was going to be, if they had been up and running the way they were anticipated to be, their contribution alone annually would have been over $1 million in property taxes. That didn't happen.
Yep. So
we adjust the way we do business. As I said, it doesn't mean, I've heard everything. So, like a tax anticipation note just is the newest thing in the world. The towns have been using them for years for this reason.
Yeah.
But this-
When you mentioned it, I didn't understand fully what it is, but it's actually a really common way for towns to balance the ups and downs of revenue cycles, expenses.
But this is the
and
first time
income.
we have had to do it.
Never. And as I said, it's because for decades,
Right.
the town built that fund balance as a cushion against the loss of that major employer.
I want to make sure everyone understands, though, that in 2015, when the first budget was done, that was the beginning of the council starting to trim the budget and its line items.
Correct.
Okay? There was a time, 10 years ago, past 10 years ago, where department heads would turn in surplus money from their budget, and this is where all the money came from that would help to contribute to that surplus that we had. But then after we lost that income, everything got really trimmed. So we haven't been contributing to anything extra
Right.
for that whole duration of time, the last 9 years, correct?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So,
And in the first year, the mill closed. The year before I got here, you used 2 million of the fund balance to offset taxes. 2 million in that first year,
What's the proposed,
To keep the mill rate the same.
to keep the mill rate the same. Well,
Well,
actually, it was.
It went up 50, I think it went up 50 cents or
It
something
went,
like that.
the mill rate went up $3, and you
Yeah.
used $2 million of fund balance that first year. That's how you, until the sudden and severe program kicked in to increase. But as I said, things have changed. In the past 4 years, our school contribution has gone up $1.5 million. It's,
and the taxpayers are feeling the tax implication now personally. So what happens is, we either continue to cause taxes to rise and put money back into the fund balance and save
That's right.
money, or we continue to run very tight line items and use
Do
this
short-term
and do
borrowing.
short-term
and this is
lending
just
and
like,
use this as a tool.
it's in a really tight box of a year too, so like,
it's within a fiscal year.
yeah.
How long, well, yeah, never mind, because that's all.
And it's not a lump sum. It's not, you just get a big, it's like a line of credit as
Yeah.
necessary.
Is the interest we pay on this going to be offset by how quickly our income should come in to pay it? Does that make sense?
We can set it up that we, you can do pay-as-you-go. It just all has to be paid off by the end of the fiscal year.
And they're typically far lower than traditional loan interest rates.
They're very short-term,
Yeah.
very specific. They're embedded in state statute. This is not,
Yeah.
Just looking at the time, I don't know if there's any more discussion.
well, no, I just wanted to say that I know we haven't done it. And we haven't done, you didn't do it because of all the things I talked about. And people didn't notice it because almost half the taxes in this town were paid by one entity. And when you have that kind of industrial value, you can do what Bucksport did, which is sock it away and invest in your community, which this community did. Not only did they sock it away, they built walkways and fields and trails and all the things that have made it possible for Bucksport to have a new life following the mill closing, which I don't know any other community that
It bought us the last 10 years.
it bought you 10 years and a springboard to the future that you would not have had other than that. But
I'd make a
Short-
motion, we move to council.
Do we have a second? All
Second.
right, all those in favor? Move to council. Next item on the agenda is motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second,
Second.
in favor?